There in Des Moines, Iowa. Our thanks to you. We'll see you at the Iowa State Fair where it's a little bit warmer and sunnier. All right, joining me right now, former Director of Strategic Communications for Hillary for America, Adrienne Elrod. She's also an NBC News contributor and Republican strategist, Evan Siegfried. Our thanks to you all. And Adrienne, I want to start with you because that New York Times report that I was referring to, talking about beat Trump at every cost, says that Democrats are powered by an almost desperate yearning to oust President Trump. And they are packing, as you see there, those gymnasiums, those arenas, as well as churches and exhibition halls to hear the candidates. How different do you feel this energy is this year as opposed to just like 2 years ago?
Well, yeah, I can't imagine why Democrats would be so united in wanting to beat Donald Trump, right? Look, the stakes are so much higher for a lot of people in 2016 than they were in 2016 because of Donald Trump. But what I find very fascinating about these polls that we've seen in early states and nationwide polls, polling the Democratic primary voters and caucus goers, is people want to see somebody new. They feel like this is their, it's their responsibility to find somebody new to support, to move forward in the Democratic Party. But they also want to beat Trump. And that's why you're seeing Joe Biden do so well when it comes to, the question, we want to support new faces and we want to support that next generation of voters. But we really like Joe Biden because right now we think he might be the only person who can beat Donald Trump. I think that will change when the debate starts happening, and you'll see these people on the debate stage debating themselves and having a real conversation about the policy issues. But right now, Joe Biden does have that advantage in the Democratic Party. It
does seem like he has a target on him right there in the meantime, don't you think, Evan?
Oh, yeah. Joe Biden has a target on his back without even getting in the race at this point. I think other Democrats want to go after him because they think they can beat Donald Trump. You've got Bernie Sanders saying he wants to be the one. You've got Beto O'Rourke flirting with being the one. You've got Amy Klobuchar saying she can be the one. John Hickenlooper being the pragmatic one. You name it, they're saying they're the one. And there really isn't a one right now because there's such a wide field. You could see somebody who only gets a plurality of the votes really become the front runner with probably 30%.
I do wish Beto would just kind of get it over with and make the announcement. Not sure what he's waiting
Schrodinger's
for.
Beto.
Exactly. Because many of the people who were there at South by Southwest, as they watched that film, which was basically just this glorifying sort of a look at Beto O'Rourke, said that they got an email immediately saying that the announcement is coming soon. Evan, John Kasich appeared also at South by Southwest, and he talked about the state of the Republican Party. Here's what he had to say.
I talk to a lot of people who are what I call kind of like normal Republicans about the fact that we should have an agenda. What should it focus on? Well, it ought to focus on climate. It ought to focus on income inequality. You can't just oppose these things and say, what a stupid idea, without having an alternative. And so I'm not giving up on the party yet, but we've got a ways to go.
There are some people who are giving up on the party. Rick Tyler is among them, that's saying it is now the Tea Party, the Trump Party. It is your party. How does that message resonate with the larger party itself?
The larger party, it's really, at this point, it's much more about fear. We are scared of the alternative, and we haven't offered any new policy alternatives to Democrats and what they're putting forward. And I think that's a mistake. We used to come up with big ideas. Remember the mid-'90s? Newt Gingrich would battle out intellectually Bill Clinton. We're not doing that right now. We're seeing Donald Trump, who's just saying wall, national emergency, great again. And that's it. And I wish we were putting forward many different things. Because there are conservative solutions to climate change. And we don't have to go around and being climate deniers. We can talk about how we can empower women by talking about the elder care crisis, which actually negatively impacts women and takes them out of the workforce. And we're not doing that as a Republican Party, and it's disappointing. Younger Republicans recognize this, and I think you see people like Elise Stefanik, Will Hurd, who are ready to take leadership at the appropriate time and lead on these issues.
And speaking of that, I've noted what happened in Iowa this week. There were a number of different things that took place. You had Mike Pompeo, who was there. He was there for Farmers of America convention, but he also made the rounds when it came to radio and TV interviews. By my count, I think it was 5 interviews that he made, which was interesting. You had Larry Hogan, the governor of Maryland, who was also there, who also made a very big hire yesterday. Of course, William Well, the former governor of Massachusetts, is in the race. Do you get a sense that there are some Republicans that are kind of starting to position themselves just in case something happened? Larry Hogan saying he wouldn't run right now, but in 3 months, who knows?
Yeah, I think so. And I think Republican voters would like to have an alternative. I think not all Republican voters, of course, but I think some. But the bottom line is Donald Trump enjoys 80% of Republican support among the Republican base. I don't see that changing very much. So well, I could see somebody taking him on, somebody running against Donald Trump. Of course, we've got Weld in the race. I think we're going to see a few others as well. They're not going to succeed because Donald Trump has such a massive lock on that base, and it's going to be very hard to penetrate it.
And Evan, you also wrote an op-ed from the Washington Post right there. I want to read a little bit from it here. You say, Wednesday, the DNC announced that it would not permit Fox News to host any of their debates there.
Schadenfreude.
English word. May be self-defeating. Why?
Well, I think Democrats recognize that they need to get more and more people into the party and voting for them. Yes, you see this big energy within the base, but you still need to pull over some Trump voters, and there are persuadable voters. We had senior citizens, 65 and over, go from, in 2014, going for Republicans by about plus 18 to Republicans plus 2 in 2018. And we saw that with many other demographics as well that traditionally watch Fox News and also vote for Republicans. If you can eat away and get 1, maybe 2 points pulled over to your side, that's a benefit. You lose nothing by going on Fox News. Actually, you can use it as a win as a candidate and say, I'm not afraid of standing up to Fox News, and I can absolutely take on Donald Trump. If you can't go on Fox News, you certainly can't go after Donald Trump.
And there are a lot of people who point to Chris Wallace and Shep Smith. And
very fair-minded and
but
great
they may
moderators.
not be the ones, and I do agree with it, with part of your argument here, Evan, but at the same time, we now know that Fox News was intentionally killing stories and not doing, not publishing.
Who killed the story is no longer with the network.
Fine, I understand that, but at the same time, there's a lot at stake when you are running a Democratic primary debate. And Chris Wallace, I have the utmost respect for him, Shep Smith as well, but they may not be the ones who are writing the questions. So I respect the DNC's decision on this. I understand where you're saying that there's a different group of voters that Fox News reaches, but I think given everything that we've seen transpire over at Fox in the last 2 years, I do agree with the DNC's decision.
And I think the president was just happy to get this, to kind of run with it. It was an easy, low-hanging fruit for him. All right, thanks to you, Adrian and Evan. Thank you. Okay, so did Paul Manafort get off easy? The president's